All right, getting started today. We'll give everybody a few minutes to come in. I see Don and Grace, Mary, hello. A few of you were just on last week's webinar, so thanks for being such great attendees. Hi, everybody. See some more people popping in. I see Regina's in here. Hey, Regina, former marketing client of mine. I will, as usual, encourage everyone to say hello to each other in the chat if you would like. Grace, consistently reliable with being friendly in the chat. Love that. All right, we see attendance is climbing up a little bit. We will get started in just a moment. For anyone who's been on webinars with RealTech in the past, I'll say this several times throughout, but if you have questions just off the top of your head that you're going to want to ask Sierra, don't hesitate to put those into the chat. We'll circle back at the end once we get through the initial questions and ask those. We'll make sure there's time for that. I will also call out that I know that there is a questions you want to ask in the registration form with Zoom. For some reason, it's not letting me see those questions today. So if you had a question you want us to ask, it's not on my radar, but if you put it in chat, I'll make sure we get it answered. I'm going to give us just another minute or two, and then we will get going. Love gold stars. So hi, Don. See you in the chat there. I'm looking forward to meeting with you and talking more if that's still something you want to do. The origin story of the properties. Yeah, absolutely. We can make some time to ask about that, Grace. All right, got a couple more trickling in here. I am going to go ahead and kick us off, and we'll make sure that we talk about the origin stories, Grace. All right. Well, thanks everybody for being here. For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Brippen Greer. I'm the director of growth here at RealTech. We're really excited that you took some time out of your day. I know everyone's very, very busy. So thanks for showing up to learn a little bit about Sierra and Big Bear Lakefront Cabins. I think they're a really cool business. We met them last fall, so they've been a client for a little bit shorter time, but I really enjoyed getting connected to them in person. Be a lot of good information in there. If anyone is on their first day in the life webinar, our over the years we've really discovered that creating community and connecting our clients provides a lot of value. It's something we really enjoy doing, and so we're hopeful that these webinars create a space for you to do that. Please take advantage of that. If anyone has any feedback coming out of these, every time we do it, we're looking to make it even more beneficial and fun to some degree, insightful. So never hesitate to reach out to us and let you know what you'd love to see on a webinar like this or a different webinar even in the future. One more time, I will repeat that if you have questions for Sierra, either now or throughout the content today, please put those in the chat. We're going to make a little bit of time towards the end to make sure we ask Sierra those. She has a ton of great information and a ton of specialty in this industry. And so please take advantage of having her here today. Without further ado, please welcome Sierra Shannon from Big Bear Lakefront Cabins. Mia is going to be from our team is going to be putting their website in the chat if you want to check it out while we're talking. I will also put out there that they do email with us on our Connect email platform, which is awesome. And then Sierra does both conversion tools, the booking recovery and the send my stay. So if you have any questions about those, please make sure to ask. All right, Sierra. So thanks for being on. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the business.
Yeah, of course. So I have been in the business ever since it was started. It's actually my parents' business. So I like to say that I've been in the business for 25 years because they started it 25 years ago. It has given me so much experience within seeing it grow from just one home to now I think we're at 58 and looking to get to about 100. But we've been in business 25 years. So all that experience has been just amazing. I started off as a reservationist in 2021 officially, but I've always been helping clean homes, watching behind the scenes how they've ran things. And now I'm officially in marketing and management. So I'm slowly helping take over. So
Yeah. And you have a pretty large educational background on the marketing side too. This is not a situation where you just found a need inside the business. This is what you really love to do, and it worked out great that you were able to do it for the family business, right?
yeah, exactly. So I have two associate degrees, and then my bachelor's degrees is in business, and my master's is in marketing, both from Pepperdine.
Awesome. Yeah, really, really awesome. So if you were to go back, you've been in the business a really long time, started, kind of as a kid working with the family. If you were to go back either towards the start of your official role at the company or all the way back when you started helping, is there something you would tell yourself, something you wish you knew at day one? You could kind of expedite that process of learning.
Yeah, yeah, know your company's worth because owners will always try to get the best deal, and it's not worth taking on an owner if they're just going to nickel and dime you. Because as a company, you have to make
Right.
sure that you're providing your value, and the owner wants the value that you're providing, doesn't just want the bare minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great note to have. And, on that thought, what do you think makes great owner experience? How does Big Bear approach that?
So we do things a little bit differently, I would say. We're very focused on quality. So we go in and we inspect every single home after the guests come in. Most companies in Big Bear say that they do that. But we make sure that that's one of the top priorities. This really makes owners feel valued, like their home is really taken care of, and it gives them a sense of security. They know that, first of all, it's the same cleaners going in every time. So that cleaner knows the home, they'll know if anything's missing. Or anything's broken. And then the quality inspector, typically it's the same quality inspector, but we only have three that go through the homes. So they always know what to look for. They're making sure, the grill is cleaned. They're making sure that nothing's stolen again. They're making sure that there's no dust in places that there shouldn't be dust. This makes the owner feel like valued as a partner, not like their home is just getting used as an in and out revolving door. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to demonstrate the value, right? Is just make them feel cared for. If you're caring for them, then you're caring for the guests, and that's going to yield good results all around.
mhm.
So, talking more about your role with Big Bear, especially because you're a marketing person, we've done a handful of these webinars over the last year, but you're the second person we've had on from the marketing side, which is really my background. So I get excited about this part. Tell me a bit about for Big Bear. What are your kind of key three responsibilities that take up the most of your time? What are you spending your day in and day out doing?
Yeah, so I would say reputation management is huge. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's one of the biggest roles of marketing, but it's huge to just make sure that we're getting positive reviews, especially on Airbnb. Airbnb is, as you know, one of the harder ones to
Hmm.
manage reviews, and we're super hosts, so that does take up a lot of time. Um, in the marketing aspect, I'm the one that's formulating the messages to guests, making sure that those messages are going out, and making sure that we're trying to generate those positive reviews. And then if I'm noticing an issue with a guest, I forward that to our complaint management team. Two of the other, I would say, biggest time consuming jobs would be email marketing,
Hmm.
mainly coming up with new ideas to keep clients engaged, and then social media, which is very, very time consuming,
Yeah,
but it does really
absolutely.
pay off in the long run. And we're growing consistently on social media and we do see that conversion, so that's really good. It definitely helps.
Great. Yeah. So we do social media marketing for some of our marketing clients, but over the years, it's kind of become less of a concentration in terms of a new service that we're offering to new clients. So I would love from someone who does a ton of social media marketing, can you give maybe a couple really great pro tips do you think have helped you grow that social media account for Big
Yeah,
Bear that they could implement on their side? Because we're really big believers that it kind of has to come from the local side to some degree to be successful. So
oh,
what are you doing that's making it so?
100%. Consistency is the biggest thing. Even if the post isn't perfect, just getting it up. Posting at least 3 to 4 times a week is essential. In terms of quality of posts, it doesn't have to be like reels. Reels will help you grow the fastest, but if you don't have the time to make a reel, just put up a photo of the home. And my biggest thing, the photos have to look good. They can't be grainy, they can't be old, they can't be low quality. It has to be clean, crisp, and professional because otherwise the client on the other end is going to be like, "Oh, why is this so old? Why is this photo so like it just doesn't look like it's giving the right value to the guests." So people are going to assume, "Okay, maybe this company isn't a professional. Maybe this
Right.
company doesn't really know what they're doing." So consistency and then making sure that the content is, high quality. Those are I would say, the
Yeah.
base that you need to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any kind of post types something that you lean on that maybe the first time you did it, you thought it would be successful, or kind of just keep a post out that day, but you've really been amazed at how much people engaged with it? Any certain specific go-tos for you?
I actually posted, I thought this was so funny. I posted something last week when our big snowfall hit in Big Bear, and it was photos of the snow, and it was like, oh, like Paul Big Bear finally gets snow. And then it was a clip of Michael from The Office saying, it's happening. Comedic skits do great when they resonate with the audience. Um, Things that I've thought that would do really good that don't is just like scenic montages or like cabin tours. They just don't really do great. However, that doesn't mean that they're not hitting the right audience. Just because they don't go viral doesn't mean that those conversions aren't there. You're targeting a very specific group of people. You're not trying to go viral, you're trying to hit that niche. So,
Yeah, you got to present your brand, but you also have to do things that makes it worth the follow and
yeah.
increases the level of engagement, even if it's just a laughing emoji, right?
Yep. Well, like that viral video, we didn't get any conversions from it, but it was funny and it showed to a lot of people, but there was no conversions. So,
Yeah, it all matters, right? So speaking of which, speaking of how everything matters, we talked about kind of your key three big responsibilities that you feel like are really, really impactful for the business. I think we all have certain things that we wish we could get more to. Can you give me maybe one thing that you never are able to get to, but you would put top of your list if you had a little more time?
mm, I feel like probably managing our Google Ads better. We have them running, they're optimized, but I don't like go in and tweak them as much as I should. And within that, the Google ads that are website retargeting are probably very important. And we
Yeah,
have them set up. We have them set up on Meta and on Google Ads, but I don't monitor, I don't check analytics enough. I definitely should be getting around to that more so.
yeah. Well, if you feel like you're never able to get it, you know who to talk to. That's a good answer, though. Google Ads is one of those things. It can be so, so beneficial if you're able to give it the time, but it is time intensive.
Yes, it is.
Um, I typically like to save questions till the end, but Grace asked one that's actually kind of in line with one of the questions I was going to ask. So I want to make sure we get it out there. In terms of communications, especially with like reviews, what communications are you automating as part of your email versus doing manually?
Everything. Everything is automated now, and it works so well. We use Akia. This goes into one of the questions that you were going to ask about what's the most underrated software. Akia, 100%.
Okay, great.
It connects directly with Escapia, which we use Escapia, pulls over all the guest information, will send out a text message and an email. Akia. It will send out a text message and an email with all the information. You set up a journey. So first we have the welcome email. It says, thank you for booking. Here's the information about your cabin. Please sign your rental agreement. The rental agreements are directly in Akia. So they literally just click it, submit their verification, photo ID, credit card information. And we already capture the credit card information when they first book, but this is just to verify that it's actually them. If they sign it there, then it proceeds to send them more information about their reservation. If they don't sign it there, then they get a follow-up email 24 hours saying, hey, thank you. Just a reminder, you need to sign the rental agreement. You have to sign it within 48 hours of booking. Once they sign it and then check-in day comes, you can also like send emails in between, which we have. If they cancel, we have a cancellation email saying, hey, make sure to book on our website next time for, basically 20% off. And then also we have a 7 days before booking, and it'll give them all the information that they need to prepare. Then when we go into Escapia and we click check in for the guest, it will send them their check-in code automatically. So everything is sent. There's a follow-up message once they're checked in. There's also a follow-up message after their checkout saying, hey, how was your stay? Can you rate us 1 to 5? What would you say? If it's a 1 star, we forward it to management, or Akia forwards it to management. And if it's a 5 star, they automatically get sent a review link. So it gets forwarded to our Google and then they review on our Google. This is 100% the best software that we've implemented in the past year. Just it literally cuts down on a person. So,
Yeah,
and
that
it's
sounds
AI.
awesome.
It's AI
Yeah,
as well, so it works great.
that sounds awesome. That is a great call out. I'll also put out there for any clients in the room. If you're looking into something like this, but Akia, ends up being more than you want to bite off, but you want to maybe do a couple of these smaller things, our marketing team can certainly help. So reach out to us and we can maybe talk about some of the options that would make sense for you. All right. So then kind of getting back into the business a little bit. What is your average booking window been this year? How's that been trending for you?
So I would say it's within 14 days. Previously, we've definitely seen more of a 30-day booking window, but right now, I think 14 days, we get a lot of last minute bookings as well. So like within 2, 3 days as well. I think a lot of people, especially on Airbnb, have started noticing the trend of if we wait until last minute, there's going to be something available and we'll get a discount. When
Hmm.
I'm
Absolutely.
prone to this as well. I like booking
Yeah.
last minute because you get a discount. Who doesn't? Obviously, that's not great for property managers, especially when booking through Airbnb, because then that cuts into your percentage and then that cuts into your, all the travel agent fees. But we have definitely seen more of a last minute booking.
Yeah. I'm not surprised to hear that. I feel like that's a trend that's been pretty widespread, but it's interesting how from business to business, there's these weird anomalies to that, and then people
Hmm.
who really fall into that. So, kind of again, going off script a little bit of the questions, but letting the conversation guide us here a little bit. With such a big spike in last minute bookings versus advance, is there anything specific you're doing with your email or social to try to get those further out bookings that you think's been really effective for you?
Yeah, I would say the best is just consistently sending mailers with deals and discounts or saying plan ahead, there's a 3-day weekend, that type of stuff. Um, we definitely see longer bookings for summer coming, and we're already
Hmm.
seeing those bookings, and that's pretty far ahead. That's not really something that we have to, I would say, prompt guests to do because people know that our lakefronts book out in summer. But I would say just consistently pushing like, hey, reminder, it's almost summer. Don't forget to book your stay before everything sells out. Hey, reminder, 3-day weekend here. Get a fourth night free. That type of stuff is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
also on the counter side to make sure that we're not losing too much money for those last minute bookings, we're making sure that we're not offering as much discounts as we used to for last minute bookings because we know that the trend is last minute bookings. So we're not lowering our rates to the degree that we used to because we know people will book it. And that's always
Yeah,
kind of been our strategy as a company as well. We let the other companies book up and then we're there at still higher rates to fill in the gaps of those needs. So we've always been we're going to book at higher rates because people want quality, not because they want quantity.
yeah, absolutely. I'm such a big advocate for promotions, but doing them with a lot of intention. And I think one thing that I've seen some clients and even, companies outside of RealTech's ecosystem do really, really well with is, you know, going back a few years going into COVID, I think that's when we really saw this like competitiveness with promotions. As the big demand started to fall off, everyone looked for ways, and we trained people, like you said, into looking for last minute promotions. But we can retrain people into
Hmm.
further out promotions. You're going to get the best deal if you plan your stay ahead, if you take advantage of all the messaging, if you stay engaged. So I love that you guys are doing that. One thing I also have seen be really successful that I would tack on to what Sierra is saying here is, put a header banner on your website talking about the importance of signing up for your email address so that you get early access promotions and then sending it out to the email a little bit
Hmm.
earlier than you maybe start advertising on the site. That way you grow that list. And then also, again, encourage people to be connected with you and book ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a pop-up, which is really good. So the pop-up offers a little bit better of a discount than just the email mailer itself. So when they
Oh,
subscribe to
awesome.
that pop-up, which only shows once every 30 days, so it's a great way to be like, hey, you're only going to see this once, so make sure to sign up. Then they get, I think it's like a 10% discount that they get for signing up there versus a 5% on the newsletter. So that captures a lot of emails.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. I could talk about promotion and marketing strategies all day. So I'm going to move us on so that I don't do that. But maybe one day we can hang out and talk about that stuff. Right. So then let's talk about your booking ratio. How much of your bookings are coming from a direct? What's your spread on OTA?
Yeah. Um, Unfortunate, but I would say Airbnb is about 40 to 50% right now. I would say direct is about 30 to 40. And then the rest is just VRBO, homes and villas. We only turn on booking.com occasionally, when we're really slow. But when we do turn it on, it's about 10% from booking.com. VRBO, we like VRBO much better than we like Airbnb, but we just haven't really seen a huge draw to VRBO right now. So,
Gotcha. Okay. And so nice to hear that it's pretty neck and neck on the Airbnb and direct side. Even that 30-40% takes a lot of work and commitment to kind
mhm.
of get there. We all understand what a challenge that can be. So good on y'all for having that big spread of direct. How has that changed for you over the last couple of years? Is that something that's maybe newer to Big Bear? Is that something you've been able to maintain over a long period of time?
So I will say when we switched to you guys from our previous host, it did go up, which is good.
Love it.
The direct booking went up. Airbnb has taken over some of VRBO's percentage, which is unfortunate because I do not like Airbnb. Um, I would say we've been pretty consistently at 30, 30, 30 for Airbnb, VRBO, and our website for the past, like, I don't know, maybe 4 years,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit longer. Um, I think we only started using Airbnb, like dedicating ourselves to Airbnb. And when we saw the superhost status, when we started dedicating ourselves, maybe 2 years ago, we've had superhost status ever since then. We started noticing the bookings went up.
So
To
certainly
counteract,
got some shine from that.
yeah. And to counteract that, 20%, now that it's 20% fee, we added on a additional service fee to make sure that we're not losing money on Airbnb. So guests are paying significantly more when they go on Airbnb, which is unfortunate. So we always try to inform guests, hey, make sure that you know that you're paying 20% extra here. And we
Yeah,
we sometimes get conversions to our website from that. So
that's great. Yeah, I just last week did a webinar with Annie Holcomb, who does consulting on the distribution side, talking about that ongoing effort to take the OTA, let it be a funnel for you, let it create business and create occupancy, but different ways you can push them to the direct site. So
mhm.
good on y'all for finding ways to do that. I don't know if you happen to catch that, but one thing I saw was super cool that's worth looking at for you and for anybody else is, there's historically been this thing about Google Lens, and you can click and look with Google Lens, and maybe you can find that picture and find the direct booking site. With Google's addition of the AI overviews, now Google Lens is a little different. So if you do it, you can just ask the chat, where can I book this property directly? And it'll pull your listing right up off of your site. And so I think there's kind of a wider funnel than ever for people to be able to go and find the direct booking site. If we just keep
Yeah.
doing the education and get people to realize they can do that and save money, right?
I think a lot of people, it's hard to break that trust with Airbnb though. And I think that's where the biggest point is people have trust in Airbnb because they know, hey, I have air cover in case I need anything. Or, I'm able to easily get backed up. I know that this property isn't scamming me. And even if they try to, Airbnb is going to be on my side. I think that's the hardest part is having these guests trust that we're a professional property management company, not someone that's just going to take your money and run.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. So true. So true. And you mentioned the air cover. Do y'all do travel insurance? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Who do
yeah, we
y'all
offer it
use?
generally.
Generally, great and good
Hmm.
experiences there.
Yeah, yeah. The I think Carrie is our account manager and she's great. We've had no issues. It's fair priced for guests and we offer the damage protection and then the travel insurance. And a lot of guests will add it. And then obviously as the manager, you get an upsell commission for that. So
Yeah, awesome. So if you're not doing travel insurance, a good endorsement from Sierra to check that out and maybe talk to Generali. Good deal. Okay, so then shifting back over to the marketing side, you mentioned that you do social, you mentioned you do email. Tell me a little about your marketing mix. Where are you putting eggs in what baskets, and where do you spend the most time? Where do you get the most results?
yeah, so Google Ads, we do Facebook and Instagram retargeting campaigns directly from the website.
Hmm.
Obviously, we do social media marketing on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, email mailers, and then I feel like I'm missing something. Um, I would say those are probably the main ones. I feel like we see the most conversions coming directly from our email marketing campaigns. We have about 15,000 contacts, so we get a lot of repeat business.
Great.
Um, Especially with offering those repeat, discounts. We send out an email to all of our guests after their stay saying, hey, if you loved your stay, make sure to rate us on Google. And if you do rate us on Google, we'll give you, a early check-in or a late checkout on your next stay. And just because you stayed with us the first time, you get a 10% discount. So a lot of people will take up on that offer and they'll come back and they'll use their 10% discount. So those email mailers really are a great
Yeah.
source. Second is definitely Google Ads. We get a lot of clients, a lot of awareness from Google Ads. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said before, I love Google Ads and I would advocate for it. So I'm glad you're getting a lot of benefit out of it as well. I'm going to continue to break my own rule about saving questions till the end because people are asking some really great ones right on topic. You mentioned YouTube. How and why are you going about marketing on YouTube? What do you think's working there?
So we don't really do a ton, but we do post some videos to YouTube. Mainly it's our owner acquisition videos. So we have one in particular that we posted to YouTube that we have linked on our website as well. And it's just to basically get awareness in the owner regard so that we can, show owners, hey, this is who we are. This is about our company. This is why we feel that we would be a great fit for you. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Show versus tell is such an important part of marketing. And I love the idea of just using YouTube to have like a resource library. And you can go and use those assets in your social. You can use it in landing pages. You can link to it from Google Ads. But then you also have this really great demonstration of why you're worth working with instead of just telling them about it. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great tip. Okay. And so then let's talk about Big Bear and what you think makes you successful. We've talked about your marketing. We've kind of talked about your the state of the business in terms of booking spread and booking ratio. You obviously put a big emphasis on acquisition, but also owner relations. But what do you think really, if you were to summarize what makes Big Bear so successful, what do you think it is that you do that makes you special?
Mhm. I think there are a few things, but mainly what stands out is our dedication to quality. We don't just accept any guests to stay at the property. We don't just accept any owner to list their home. We really make sure that one, these are homes that we would stay in ourselves, and two, these are guests that we would want staying in our home. And
Mhm.
if it's going to be a guest that's going to disrespect the home, we're not going to let them stay. That makes our owners happy, and that in return makes us more money because our homes are better taken care of. Like I said, I mentioned quality inspectors. That's a huge part of our business model. These quality inspectors are the key to making sure that your cleaners are actually doing their work and that the home is in good condition. They're going through making sure that all the silverware is stocked properly, making sure that the pillows are looking good, making sure that the couches aren't ripped, making sure that chairs aren't broken. They're looking at the little things which make the big picture so much better. And that's how we've been able to maintain superhost status for so long. That's how we've been in business for 25 years. That's how we've been, one of the leaders in the industry, not in terms of how many cabins we have, but in terms of quality. We have almost a 5-star on Yelp and Google. You're always going to have your people that are going to complain. That's never going to be eliminated. But we do our best to make sure that even when our guests are unhappy, we try to have a conversation with them versus just letting them go unhappy. We really want to turn things around. So typically, when we just had a guy yesterday who was complaining that the TV for the remote wasn't working and he wanted a full refund and there wasn't hot water in the hot tub and his kids were the ones that were splashing it all out. But you can't say that.
Yeah.
So we had a
Right.
conversation with him and, we said, hey, like, we would love to host you again. We'll give you a discount. We'll make sure that this stay is what you want. And we want to make sure that we turn that negative experience into a positive experience. That's another really huge thing for us is turning negative experiences into a future positive experience. Those guests are always going to be the most loyal, the ones that were negative that are now positive. We've got a really, really good track record with that. So,
Awesome. Really, really awesome. The responding to reviews is so important too. I think that's something that everyone should take the time to do it, and not everyone necessarily does. I'd add that, on the AI side, I won't get into this whole AI search marketing thing, but the thing to remember with AI is that it's looking at the whole internet for your reputation versus your website for your reputation.
mhm.
And so anywhere that people are leaving reviews, doing what you're doing and getting back to them, creating those positives, that gets interpreted and gets scraped and is part of what makes you show up in responses as a reliable, respected property management company. So
Yeah.
again, get on you guys and do everything right. All right. So then I want to quickly talk about the About Us page on your site because I think that the story of the company is always so important. So I always take a look and make sure I'm familiar with it. But I was really intrigued there's multiple charitable organizations on here, and it seems like y'all do a lot of good work and paying it forward. Can you talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, so we do our best to support the community. I know I've mentioned this a few times, but we've been in Big Bear for 25 years. So we really want to make sure that Big Bear is a place that is respected. I mean, there's wildlife up here, there's beautiful nature, the lake, it's a gorgeous just getaway spot. We want to make sure that it stays that way. So we have multiple things, best practices, regulations that we have to make sure that our guests are respecting it, but we also do partner with Kind Traveler and we do a $1 per night donation. So guests will donate $1 per night, and then that goes to the Big Bear Zoo. The Big Bear Zoo takes animals that cannot live in the wild anymore, and they either rehabilitate them or they keep them at the zoo. It's a super great, just very small zoo, but it's great for educational purposes. I personally loved it as a kid. It was super fun to visit, and
Yeah.
they've grown over the years, so we're super happy that our donations are going there. They have bears, wolves, eagles, super cool to go see and learn more about the natural habitat of Big Bear. In addition to that, we also work with Care for Big Bear. We have their Dark Sky initiative and then also their like pack what you left. So all of the trash that guests bring to the property, they have to go bring it to a dump site. We can't leave it in trash cans in Big Bear because raccoons, bears, animals will get into it and then trash will be all over. Additionally, with those, we have the good neighbor policy, which just really makes sure that guests are very respectful of not only the animals, but also the neighbors. Big Bear does have a very large community of people that live up here. So it's hard when, you have guests that come up and just want to party. So we don't
Hmm.
allow that at all. We have a no party tolerance. Big Bear is very strict in occupancy. They've got very strict code enforcement. So we do make sure to have our guests uphold that. So we're very big into supporting the community and making sure that the neighbors are happy with the property management service that we provide. So,
Yeah, absolutely. That all makes sense. That's a good way to kind of connect, doing local good, but also running a sound business. Uh,
mhm.
Kind of on that front, I saw another question coming from Don over at Cayman Vacations, which is how do you vet guests to instant book? And I think that's such a big part of it. You have these great policies you want to put in place, but you ultimately can't control them. And vetting is a big part of that. How are you handling this for the instant bookers?
So we allow instant booking and then after the fact, we verify. So obviously on VRBO and on our website, there's no issue if we cancel. Airbnb is the only one. For Airbnb, if the guest has no reviews, we verify after the fact with Akia, so they're able to upload their photo ID and their credit card information. If none of that matches, or if we kind of take a look and we say, oh, okay, maybe we should verify this guest, we give them a call. If they still don't seem like they're good, then we'll cancel the reservation. And on Airbnb, you can get no penalties if you cancel under like you don't feel comfortable. I can't remember exactly what it says, but it just says like I don't feel comfortable hosting this guest. You can also check reviews. Property managers also leave reviews, and typically all the guests that we rent to have 5 stars. But we don't usually have any issue with that because we outprice our competition. Um, our fee, we're not cheap. We're never going to be the
Yeah.
cheapest service because that's where we want to be in the market. We want to be the luxury brand. Most of our homes are 5 star, have a hot tub, have a game room. If they're not 5 star, they're 4 star and they're super nice. Someone who's going to come in and trash the place isn't going to be booking with us.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, we have had a few issues, but they were solved very quickly. And when you noticed a guest after they've uploaded their ID and they've uploaded their credit card, you notice, hey, this might not be the person I want to host. Then we just cancel. We say, hey, I'm so sorry, we're not able to host you. This is who we recommend going with, you know.
Right.
Or if someone's underage, because we do have a 25-year age minimum,
Hmm.
we forward them to Airbnb because we can't monitor Airbnb. It's just 18 is the age limit. So we say, hey, book on Airbnb. And then if we need to, we can have the air cover request to, request for any damages, if
Great.
that were to happen. But
Yeah. So really just you're doing your due diligence. You're priced to your level of quality, which does a lot of insulation for you. And you've got an easy to follow process if things don't go the way that they need to.
exactly.
Great. Great. Well, then, kind of looking ahead a little. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip around a little here. You talked about your underrated tool. You talked about Akia, and that was a great call out. Is there, and I promise I won't tell anybody, it can be us if you want it to be. But is there an overrated tool, platform, strategy, something that you feel like people talk about as being
Yes.
great and you do not have a good experience?
Airbnb. I
Surprising
hate
answer.
Airbnb. Um, I think it's so frustrating with Airbnb because, we do our best to be a super host and people just like guests just don't. I don't know, it's hard to put it into words, but they love negativity. And it's so hard when you're trying to say, "Hey, focus on the positive. How was your stay? What did you like? Were we responsive? Rate us. Don't rate the home." There's always going to be something you don't
Mhm.
like about the home. How was our service? And that's what we try to focus on. It's very hard with Airbnb because guests love to use the review system as manipulation. They
Mhm.
love to, "Hey, I'm going to leave you a bad review if you don't refund me money," which you can remove reviews like that, but it's very hard to prove that. So, yeah, that's definitely my least favorite tool.
Very fair answer. And I think one, I know Aaron agrees. I would expect that several other people here agree. And I would be interested to hear the argument for the opposition. Okay, so then let's talk about kind of looking forward and going into 2026. What are some challenges that you think that you're facing as a business, and how do you plan to go about addressing them?
Mhm. So obviously Airbnb market share.
Yep.
They have a huge budget for advertising. They have, huge reputation. It's very hard to counteract that. Our best practice is to just let people know, like, "Hey, do you realize how much more you're paying on Airbnb? Like, it's about 20% more. Don't forget that when you're booking and search to book direct, even if it's not with us. Book
Hmm.
direct." Um,
Absolutely.
I do think that strategy works, telling people, "Hey, you're paying 20% more. Don't forget that." VRBO too, you're paying 20% more. It's crazy. Um, Increased regulations is huge
Hmm.
because Big Bear, and specifically Big Bear, has been hit hard multiple times. Um, in the county, because there's two different districts in Big Bear, there's the city and then the county. The county has a maximum occupancy at 12, no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's a five-bedroom home. That used to be as many as you wanted, not as many, but like under 20.
Yeah.
So that was challenging. Permitting fees are also very high in Big Bear. The city of Big Bear Lake, the regulations in terms of the good neighbor policy are also very, very strict. And they have also talked about banning vacation rentals altogether. So
Mm.
the increased regulations do make it very challenging for us. I don't necessarily think Big Bear would ban vacation rentals altogether because we're a vacation town. And if
Mhm.
they were to do that, um, the economy in Big Bear would collapse. So I think in terms of banning it altogether, I think we're fine on that. But that doesn't mean that those regulations won't increase more. And I do see in San Bernardino County, which is the same county that Big Bear's in, I have seen some talk about banning vacation rentals as well, but I don't think that that would increase to Big Bear. So definitely stricter regulations is a concern. And I think that's everywhere too. I understand moderation. I understand setting in policies to make sure that, guests are respecting Big Bear or wherever they're renting. But I think there's a way to go about it that still helps the economy. And
Yeah,
then
totally.
our third one is owner acquisitions. As I've mentioned many times, we are quality over quantity, and a lot of people don't want to pay. So this goes back
Hmm.
to my first thing about what would I tell myself back when I first started is making sure that you know what service you're providing. We provide a very boutique, very quality service, and that's not going to be for everyone. Not every single owner is going to want to pay the percentage that we charge, but they also might not want the quality that we have. So making sure that we're finding the right owners is really important and it is a struggle. We're obviously targeting five-star owners, five-star homes, all that type of fun stuff, but
Hmm.
making sure that we find the right owner that really wants quality for their home, not just quantity.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned you use YouTube for that. Is there any other kind of primary marketing channel that you feel like you're able to get a lot of your acquisition leads out of? That's one place we don't do a lot of work and we always get a lot of questions. So if you have anything, by all means, do tell.
We were using OwnerPoint for a little bit. Um, I didn't really see much success within the email marketing side of things, but they had told me that the mail side is much better. And I honestly just didn't have time to go through and send out a letter to, 50, 60,
Right.
100 owners at a time. Um, I would consider paying for the service, the full service where they just do it all for you now. Because looking at the time to see how much time it actually takes to put this stuff together and then have to send it out, like that would be my full-time job if I were to just do the owner acquisition
Yeah.
side. But OwnerPoint and then Vintory are two of the owner acquisition softwares that I'm very aware of. And then as far as doing it myself, there is obviously the public record list of all the vacation rentals. If we're really interested in a property, we go into that public record link list, put in the address, and then see on the public records of the address if the owner has any public contact.
Right.
Um, there are about, I think, 8,000 vacation rentals in Big Bear. There's a lot. And a good portion of those are self-managed by the owner. So it's very hard to transition the self-managed over to the property manager when the owner's like, hey, I can do that myself. I don't want to pay 30%.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know that was a little spiel.
No, that's a good answer though. And I think, along the way, you really talked a lot about something that's so important and such a big part of selling a service business, which is understanding the relationship between time and money and helping people understand that just because something is cheaper, that doesn't mean that it doesn't cost you much more time, which actually costs
Mhm.
you money. And so letting a specialist be a specialist in something, I mean, that's obviously such a big part of what y'all are able to sell to potential owners.
Yeah. And then also quality of the management service. If you're having a ton of guests that go in and trash your home, but you're paying a lot lower fee, you're probably going to also be paying a lot more maintenance costs. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I will always be on board with paying for the best possible product if it gets you the big return, saves you trouble. Speaking of which, convenient segue, unintentional segue, but a convenient one nonetheless. Can you tell me a little bit, or well, I guess tell me, but also tell our attendees today, how are you getting the most out of your RealTech website? How are you getting the most out of being a RealTech client? Especially coming through the perspective of someone who hasn't been a client
mhm.
for especially long. What's that kind of process look like for you so far?
My two biggest things is booking recovery, which we did not have before, and we were losing so much money on that. Such a huge essential to the vacation rental industry. And then my second is the support. I, with my previous management company, not too much, or not management company, but previous website hosting company, not to dwell too much on this, but I would submit a support ticket and it would go unanswered for almost a month. And there were some like
Crazy.
important items where I was like, hey, like I need this to be fixed. Um, we did go from a custom site to a direct site, so there were
Mhm.
some features that we lost, but I have seen so much like improvement in the website, like the way it looks, the functionality, everything works the way it's supposed to. And then that support is just worlds better where if I have something, I'm like, hey, like, can you guys update this? Takes not even 24 hours to be finished. So I think that alone is worth the change, just the support. So
Great. That's what we like to hear. We certainly like to talk about the support because we think it's something we do well, but it always is so meaningful and fulfilling to hear that you're getting what you need there. So
yeah,
thanks for sharing that. I certainly appreciate it.
of course.
Let's see. So then I want to go through a couple more questions here, fill up a few more minutes, and then if we've got any other questions I may have missed along the way, I want to make sure I have time for those as well. Um, Here's one I really like is, you spend a lot of time obviously thinking about the vacational industry. You're certainly aware of your competitors. You're probably aware of what other people are doing. I know y'all go to conferences. That's where we met. What is something that you see another or other property management businesses doing you're not currently doing but want to learn more about?
I think owner acquisitions is my biggest thing. Obviously, we
Yeah,
do owner acquisitions, but we don't do it to the degree that we should. Um, a lot of our owner acquisitions is just waiting for people to come to us, and that's
yeah,
not good. So, learning how to be more learning how to be more aggressive in that with reaching out to people and saying, hey, we provide a great service. But it's also hard because we do have an agreement with a few of the other companies in Big Bear that we won't poach homes. So we have to go about that very carefully because, Big Bear is such a small town that sorry. Big Bear
Yeah,
is such
it's
a
fine.
small town that all the owners of the companies know each other. And they have this agreement where, hey, we're not going to poach each other homes because if we did, it would just cause this war that would be always ongoing. Um, but yeah, owner acquisitions would be my biggest thing.
Totally makes sense. Well, if anyone here feels like they do a great job with an acquisition and have some secrets to exchange for Sierra's time here, we're going to put her contact information in the chat a little bit later anyway. Mia, if you want, you can go ahead and put that in there. Feel free to reach out to Sierra and let her know if you have some ideas.
Yes, please.
See, she even said, please, please do it. Okay, so then let's talk about going back to marketing. How do you expect marketing for vacation rentals to evolve? I feel as like you have a pretty good handle on everything you're doing now and really on the forefront with socials and stuff. But where are you seeing your opportunity on the marketing side expanding over the coming
Mhm.
years?
I think really one of the biggest trends that I've noticed recently, especially within social media, is authenticity and not only showing your company authentically, but making sure that you're not just a company, but there's also a face to it. I
Hmm.
think that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed is people really want connection. They really want personalization. They want to understand that they're heard, that they're seen, and showing that within your marketing is super important. Being able to be a face and a person and someone that they can have their name to, like the software that I mentioned, Akia, it's an AI chatbot. So we don't just have it labeled as AI chatbot, we have it named Annika. So it's got a
Love it.
name, it has a personality. And within marketing, you have to have that as well. Like you have to have someone that this person can conversate with, not just a faceless company.
Absolutely. That's that's such a key thing, and I think you're spot on with that. And I think a big part of it, you mentioned it, AI in general, as things become easier to automate, easier to generate at least base content, but also, uh, global reputation and global visibility become more important. Finding that intersection of efficiency but personalizing is going to be
Yeah.
something that is top of mind for everyone who has their ducks in a row.
Hmm. And also making sure that you're optimized in your geo search, and your
Mhm.
digital footprint is very important because a lot of people use ChatGPT now, and ChatGPT loves to crawl the web for all of its information. So making sure that you're pulling up first and all that is very important. We had an owner find us from ChatGPT, which is great.
That
So
is great.
yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Nicely done. And a big part of that, I keep saying it, but it's not just your website, it's your reputation on the internet. And so, I recently did some content about this. It's just fresh on my mind, but understanding brand mentions. And, if you're working with local organizations, if you're have reviews on different sites, if you have a DMO out there, see if you can get content on their site. Anywhere where credible people are talking about you being credible is going to boost that credibility. And here you gave a great example of people finding you through ChatGPT as a credible management company because you talk so much about it and you lead with that, like you're saying, in all the marketing that you do. So that's a
Hmm.
great win. Speaking of wins, a question that I like to throw in here is just looking at back at your whole time with the company, which obviously in your case is quite some time, going back to the origin. Is there a moment that you look back on as really, really pivotal for Big Bear?
Like,
You can take that as broadly as you want. I mean, but whether it be we bought our first property and we did this a certain way, or we started doing this marketing, is there something you're just really glad looking back that you had this kind of pivotal moment where something went your way?
I feel like there's a few things. Obviously, I mean, COVID sucked in a lot of ways, but it brought a lot of business.
Yeah,
That was, I mean, our most profitable year. Um, I think after that, I think we really started realizing, hey, we should try to grow this and we should try to expand a little bit more. My parents were always very set at, 60 homes. It's a good number. And I stepped in 2021 to be more of a full-time figure and said, hey, let's grow it. Let's take it to 100. I think that was a pivotal moment.
Yeah,
So,
you said this can be a lot bigger than it is because we've got this great product. It's just about scaling
yeah,
it
yeah,
consciously.
exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Do you feel like you saw a big uptake after your kind of insertion into the business?
Not in number, but in quality. Yes. We
Yeah,
kind of weeded out all the homes that were problem homes, and we started taking on more of a luxury client. So,
yeah. We haven't known each other extremely long, obviously, but you've always come off as very much a finesser. Let's find the way to really polish the edges and make this
yeah,
perfect. And so I can definitely see that being of big benefit to Big Bear.
thank you.
Absolutely. We've got a few more minutes here, so I'm going to hand it over to a couple quick questions from the audience. And again, I know I'm a broken record, but if anyone has questions, please don't hesitate to put them in here, whether we get to them today or send them over to email. We will get them answered. Um, Kim Cook, thanks so much for following up with Grace about the booking recovery. But Sierra, I would love for you to talk a little bit about booking recovery since you called it out, maybe explain what it is and how you're seeing it benefit you.
Yeah, so booking recovery essential because when someone is in the checkout process and maybe they accidentally X out or they get distracted and they go to something else or they think, oh, I'm not going to book right now. Their information is already stored, so they get a follow-up email however long after you want to send the follow-up email.
Mm-hmm.
We offer a discount and we say, hey, make sure to book, get 5% off. And then it takes them back into the booking journey. It is so essential. Not only does it capture emails, but it also is able to send out that email and try to convert them. So I think you get two different emails that you're able to send out, trying to
Mm-hmm.
convert that lost booking into a potential booking. It
Yep,
definitely pays
absolutely.
for itself. So 100% essential.
It's slick. I could talk about how awesome booking recovery is all day. One thing I'd add to what Sierra put out here is, you said you do the discounts on there. If you use booking recovery through us, we can even set up dynamic content. So if you haven't talked about this with your marketing manager, Sierra, please do. If it reaches a certain threshold, if a booking reaches a certain number or it occurs in a certain date, so we can change what that content looks like. And so it allows you to really, really have a lot of control. So if it's something you're considering doing out there, please have a conversation with us. We talk about how we personalize it to you. And then a Grace, who's quickly becoming my very favorite webinar attendee. You're always so interactive and have so many great questions. So thank you, Grace. She would like to know, Sierra, about a referral incentive for ideal owners referring their friends. Is that something that y'all do or have looked at before?
Yeah, yeah, we do. We have had multiple owners that refer out to us, their friends or previous owners, their friend bought a home and then they send someone our way. I don't know the exact number, but it does depend on the home. So obviously a one bedroom, two bedroom home is going to be very different incentive than a five-bedroom home. Typically, we offer this as a statement credit to our owners. So that gets turned into cash or like it's used as like a maintenance credit or something. But yes, we do offer an incentive.
Awesome.
We should
Awesome.
make that more aware though, because I don't know if a lot of owners know.
There you go. Yeah, put that out there. Hit a owner email out, right? All right. I think that is all the guest questions we've got here today. I'm looking through mine. I think you've really given us some awesome answers to everything. So thanks so much for your time. I'll give everyone just another second to throw any questions out that they may have. Otherwise, we will let everyone back to their days. Anybody else here? Oh, yep. And Mia's put our email addresses in there. So if anyone does have follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us independently. Sierra, you expressed that you're okay with people reaching out to you, maybe have some
Yeah.
private conversations, and vice versa. So everyone have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you soon. Have a good rest of your
Thank you,
week.
Britt. Have a
You're
great
welcome.
day.
You too. Bye.